The ZA Tech Show is made possible by Vodacom. Power to you at vodacom.co.za. And by BlackBerry. Love doing business on your BlackBerry smartphone at blackberry.co.za.
Welcome to episode number 201 of the ZA Tech Show, recorded on Monday, 1st January. March. Sorry, we were mucking around in the studio before the time. I've been confusing things, and so I said it would probably happen in the show. And Brett's not here to help me. Yes, 5th of March, Monday night, episode 201 of the ZA Tech Show. Welcome to it. My name is Simon Dingle. Let me introduce you to our panel of geeks who are going to talk technology forthwith. Steven Ambrose is here.
Good evening.
From Strategy Works. Hello, Steven.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Up and down.
MBO on Twitter, up and down,
That's
mostly
me.
up, just like the stock market. I've heard this before somewhere.
We've said that a few times tonight. But anyway, as long as the stock market keeps going up.
What a day. All right. You've just come back from Barcelona.
I have indeed.
Mobile World Congress. How many years in a row now?
4 years.
Jeez, it would have been 4 for me if I went this year.
No.
But I did not.
We heard. And you were seriously missed. There was
did they
quite
say
a good
something?
team.
Did they?
Yes.
In the keynotes, did they?
No, they didn't. It was on the plane on the way home. I met some South Africans. They said, last year we met a guy by the name of Simon. He knows a lot about
somebody
tech.
or other.
And a random dude on a plane.
We're not surprised he wasn't asked back.
Oh, they didn't. They said, was he here? I said, I don't know. I don't think so.
Unfortunately, not this year. Anyway,
there's always next year.
We'll
Always
get to
next
your
year.
impressions of Mobile World Congress in a moment. But first, I have to introduce Fake John on Twitter. Jon Tullett is back. It's been a very, very long time, John.
It has been a very long time.
Yeah, but it's good to have you back on the show. One of the original 5 panelists on the ZA Tech Show. When we started doing this 4 years ago.
That was back in 47, wasn't
Scared to think
200
about.
episodes ago.
200 episodes ago. Jeez Louise. Anyway, good to have you back, John. It's been a while.
Thank you very much.
Loving the Asus Transformer. I'm trying to get hold of the Prime to test.
I'm hoping to get one at the end of the month.
They're one of those companies who launch the product first and then let people review it. Apparently that's all. Anyway.
Selfish.
We've got a newcomer on the show tonight. Somebody making his debut. David Greenway is here.
Greetings.
Hello. He emailed me this week and he said it would be really cool if I could come on the ZA Tech Show. So I said, okay, come on the ZA Tech Show.
Apparently that's
Simon's really easy.
We've never really spoken much before, Dave. We'll change all that tonight.
Ooh.
But why don't you introduce yourself since this is your first show and tell us where you're from? Because I don't,
Yeah, well, not to me.
You are Dave, right?
Well, yeah,
not just some guy I found.
where I'm from. So when a man and a woman and yeah. But back to the point at hand.
Not that kind of show, Dave.
Not that kind of show. Sorry.
Not yet.
Not yet, anyway.
Give us time.
We need whiskey for that.
We're boiling those frogs.
So,
all right.
Apparently, I'm an online strategist for a company called Shop and Ship. We
Okay.
do online shopping.
Cool.
PC, Mac, electronic, cellular, accessories, all shiny
And
things.
you blog as well, don't you?
I blog a lot.
Yes. Where can we find your stuff?
And he tweets a lot.
The Tech Duel is my geeky blog.
Uh-huh.
And then there's random other stuff. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll be bombarded
At
with it
Dave
constantly.
Greenway.
Indeed.
Didn't I saw an article of yours in was it Live Out Loud?
Yeah, Live Out Loud this month.
So you write for a few pubs as well.
Every now and then, yeah.
Whew, good. Okay. I did actually invite a journalist onto the show.
Oh, my word.
It's good to have you, Dave. I can't promise it'll happen again, but let's see how this goes.
Pressure.
So, before we get onto this week's news, Stephen, I'm interested to hear your take on Mobile World Congress. We spoke, when did we speak? Last Thursday, last Wednesday?
Yeah, Thursday.
Things was
Thursday or
still on
Wednesday.
Ichang. It was before, no, actually Microsoft had made their big
They
announcement.
had made them.
But generally, as somebody who's been to 4, bless you, Mobile World Congresses in a row, how did you find this year compared to
This year
previous?
was completely and utterly insane. It
Yeah.
really was. I mean, you couldn't move. I stretched
It was
my...
bananas.
Worse. As I stretched my hand out to touch one of those shiny things, about 14 Asian gentlemen got underneath. was
Was
havoc.
it the Samsung stand?
Well, absolutely. Samsung
You have to
were
watch out, man.
completely mad, but it was crazy. There were more exhibitors than I've ever seen. Everyone was back last year. Nokia weren't there. This year they were there with a bang. A lot of guys.
They didn't send any of their local guys, which is
Nothing.
interesting.
Well, there was one guy. I saw one fella.
Yeah, sure, but
who went with certain dealers of importance, like
Right.
Voda, someone or other.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
no, it was intense. It was insane. There was tons and tons of stuff going on. Everybody, as usual, were chasing the big deal, and there were two huge overriding themes.
Yes.
Our dear friends Google owned the place.
Owned the
They
show.
Owned the show. There were little green men dispensing sweets at every stand.
Were you at the show this year, John?
I was not, but I followed it pretty closely.
Yeah.
And it was just insane.
It was
They
the Google show.
absolutely owned the show from the beginning to the end, and every device, and I mean everything was running Google.
Well, I mean, they do literally own the show. They own the market now, don't
Pretty
they?
much. And the second thing that was that was absolutely everywhere
Yeah.
is LTE. Everyone's going live with LTE. Everybody's talking LTE. Everyone's talking up LTE.
Yeah.
So they were all selling the equipment and all the back end and all the stuff that goes with LTE.
Yeah.
And in between, there was lots and lots of cool little things. But basically, those were the two things. Android, handing out ice cream sandwiches everywhere. That was pretty cool.
Nice.
There were guys running around with little buckets and handing out
That's
ice
pretty cool.
creams.
Nothing wrong with that idea.
Nothing. No,
Nice.
it
Nice,
was
Google,
pretty
nice.
good.
Did Eric Schmidt do his keynote again? He does
did.
the keynote every year, just about.
He did, and he was very, very laid back. He
Yeah.
came on stage. He was so relaxed. He went on. I mean, but
Maybe it's because he's worth a few $1 billion and he doesn't have to work anymore.
What's the worst going to
Tends to make one pretty relaxed.
yeah, he was like, hi guys, I'm just here talking to a couple of 100,000 geeks, and
And you think you have problems.
yeah, absolutely. But his message was very interesting. He was all on about how Android can actually make a difference to people's lives, and Google
Yeah.
can make a difference to people's lives. And he went very, very strongly on about all that. And but he was quite pragmatic. He wasn't, all, love your neighbor and give him something and pay it forward. He was really quite pragmatic. He had some really good suggestions. It was
Yeah.
really it was more a conversation and an interesting one. The best part was at the end. Some guy said, something about smartphones.
Q&A with Eric Schmidt's always the best because he's got that dry sense of humor that the
is
Europeans don't
so
understand. And then
sharp, and he
they-
slapped a couple of guys down big time. It was interesting. Worth going online, Google it, look for his keynote, and have a watch. It's
and watch it.
certainly very, very interesting.
Well, it doesn't look like we can play YouTube on our stream tonight. Otherwise, I would have played some of it anyway. Cool. Did you get your hands on with any of these products we
All
discussed
the
on
toys,
the phone last week?
all the toys.
Did you play with the HTC One?
I did.
Did its battery last long enough for you too?
It was plugged in at the time with one of those little anti-theft noisy things.
That's what I'm
was quite
thinking
cool.
with these quad core phones, right? Is battery life must be a disaster, bless you, John.
They claim all of them, and that was the first question to anybody from ZTE to Huawei to all of the guys with quad-core phones.
Yeah.
And they claim 10 to 12 hours talk time
Yeah.
and anything up to 30 hours standby. And then I had a long chat to the guys from Qualcomm who make that quad-core chip.
Yes.
And they reckon it's really very, very clever. Basically, all 4 cores are fast asleep with one little standby core running the screen until
yeah.
you do something.
Yeah, which is
So-
the same thing as NVIDIA did with the Tegra 3. They put a 500 megahertz fifth core in there, which handles all the background tasks, and then whatever it needs to ramp up another core, it just starts adding them on.
Correct. More cores doesn't imply less efficient.
But the interesting thing about the
necessarily,
HTC One, it's the first phone I've felt that has the same sort of feeling of quality as an iPhone.
So it's the
So,
1X, the
One
top
X.
of the range one.
But all of them, the 1S, the 1X, the aluminium one, I think
1V,
the 1V.
HTC's
See,
been
we've got
working
someone here
hard.
who remembers all the numbers. I like that.
So I can't remember how I
me
got
neither.
you.
That was the M1, wasn't it?
I don't know, man.
HTC,
Well, you know.
HTC is that guy. You know how there's always one person who will pimp out their PC with everything you can stick in this case?
Yeah.
Or the guy who will get everything you can get for his car?
Right.
HTC is that guy.
Are you
Not
So what you're
anymore.
saying HTC's in East Rand in South Africa.
Which is why they have a
I mean, he's
partnership
From
with
Benoni.
You take
They
you take
drop
a-
their
a ve-
suspension.
A very good, kind of very good model for a cell phone. Then you just cram in everything that you can lay your hands on.
Really interesting. One of the comments, I forget his name, the CEO, the MD of HTC said, is that Sense 3 was too much. There was too much stuff going on. Exactly what you
to
said.
get that mic in
Too
front of you,
much,
Stephen.
too much whizzing around, too much
there
spinning
we go.
stuff, and just too much. And Sense 4, and from what I could see, is stripped down enormously.
Nice.
So they've cleaned it up. They've focused on the key and important stuff.
I don't
And
know why these guys
I
spend
think
so
it's
much
really
time
important.
skinning Android. I know there's not much differentiation, but come on, man. And then they call it things like Sense when it makes none, or TouchWiz, which is just rude.
Yeah, no, that's very rude. I agree. And useless.
I completely agree. I think the stock Android experience now, especially with ice cream sandwich, is very, very good.
Well, I'm using the Galaxy Nexus, the Samsung device, and it's just stock Android, and it really is very nice not having all of that clutter in your face.
Yes.
I will say one thing, though.
Yeah.
When you get ice cream sandwich stock standard or any one of the Google builds,
Yeah.
you tend to download a couple of things to make it right. There are a couple of sort of key apps that we've often talked about. There are must-haves,
Yeah.
little weather apps and little things. What Sense tends to do, in my experience with Sense, is it geeks the phone out for you.
Yeah.
So you get a phone that's about as geeked as you would really need. So it's not
Tricked out.
Yeah, it's not a bad overlay.
Yeah.
You and HTC together, you're that guy.
Yeah, no, I am that guy. I've lowered my suspension long time ago.
So you have the Beats audio headphones that
I
come
do.
with
I do.
pump
I got all
devices
those.
Well,
there.
Beats Audio is built into the new HTC
Yeah, they've
devices.
actually unlocked it. It used to only be for the music playing app. With Ice Cream Sandwich, they've unlocked it across everything. So
What does
any
that
app
mean,
can
though? It's
tie
just a
in.
brand, right? It's,
Well,
There's
No.
apparently some bass control, and they're allowing it to specifically adjust the audio output that the phone actually gives
Okay.
out through its own speakers and through the audio jack and everything, which they've now unlocked the whole. Oh well, anyone can dev for it now, which is.
What phone do you use, Dave?
Dave uses a BlackBerry for everyday sort of stuff, and then Windows Phone 7.
I
we
forgot
having
to
with BlackBerry?
forgot to grill you about what technology you use. We're
tech
supposed to do that with
credentials.
all the first timers.
At the moment, I think Windows Phone 7 is coming about as close to the phone that could take over from a BlackBerry for me, because
So iPhone or Android not as good as BlackBerry for you?
I have an
Introduce you to some
iPad.
people who are
You're
like
that
you.
guy.
I have an iPad.
Hey guys,
So I
we
have
all
all
that
apps on
guy.
there, yeah.
That's the whole
We're all-
purpose of the show.
well-
we all that guy.
Okay, and what's that in front of you? PC?
Yeah,
No
PC.
Macs.
No, well,
Anti-Apple.
I work on an iMac at work.
You will be very popular. Oh, you work at iMac at work. Oh,
Yeah.
Fail.
I'm waiting for
listeners
SATA
generally
6.
don't like
Yeah,
Apple
I've
much.
noticed.
But then, not all of them, just the most vocal ones.
Well, basically, I'm waiting for Apple to actually integrate
Linux,
SATA 3
Windows?
controllers. Windows.
Windows. All
Yeah.
right. Now you
Need
know.
Office.
Nobody needs Office.
Yeah.
It's just been foisted
I
upon
believe
us.
Sam would say anyone who spends time loving a spreadsheet is a sad, sad human being.
Yeah, I know a few of those. All right. So now that you know Dave's tech credential, what's that, by the way, Stephen? The 9810
That's
torch.
that's the 9810.
Yeah,
And it's
shame.
actually a really, really nice phone. Sorry, no shame.
That or a 9860.
I'm
the
really
full
enjoying
touchscreen.
this phone. It's quick, it's smooth. It's a
There's a
great
lot
phone.
to like about BlackBerry. There is.
You know what was interesting? I didn't take it with me, and I came back after 10 days of not
Yeah.
having it around, and
Yeah.
it feels like you're coming home. It's comfy. Everything.
The
It's
guys
unlike
are so weird.
yeah, totally weird. But unlike Android, where stuff moves around and you touch the screen and things happen, and,
Don't want any of
and
the
weird stuff goes
newfangled
on.
movie around stuff.
You just arrive and everything's back where it should be, and
there's Tom
everything
London.
notifies you. No, it's really a great phone. I'm very impressed. If you're looking for an upgrade,
I was
it's a
playing
good
with the new
upgrade.
Curve. What is it? The 9380 or something?
9380, yeah.
9380 is also good. Very good.
Touchscreen. Well, the battery lasted long, and
You're into this battery thing, eh? Battery's
See, what
driving
you-
you mad.
this iPhone 4S and the Galaxy Nexus I've been using, you'd have to trickle charge them all day. I'm
You
lucky if
must
I get
carry around one of those little power
I get
brick.
up really early and I start working, like 9:30. I usually at meetings or the office, and like the phone's already dead around 1. You know.
Well, here's the thing: is that Motorola released a different version of the Razr in the
Yeah.
States, specifically an LTE model. So it's normally, I think, 7.1 mils thick or something. They pumped it up to 8.99 or something
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
and they crammed it full of battery. They call it the Razor Max or something. It's like a 3,300 milliamp hour battery
So now
in
it's
there.
basically a blunt razor.
But yeah,
very
exactly,
blunt
it's a
razor.
But here's the thing: so
Blunt razor.
because
That's very
of the,
sharp.
because of the LTE, it was always dying. Oof, so sharp there. Because of the LTE, it was slaughtering the phone. So I think when Engadget reviewed it, it got something like 16 hours of continuous video loop through it, which
What?
was quite nice.
That's
They
insane.
got, I think, a day and a half's usage out of an LTE phone,
I
which is
think-
pretty impressive.
I wonder if Apple's going to have a big battery announcement with the iPhone this year. I suppose we must talk about the upcoming Apple announcement this week. But
On Wednesday.
What would ZA Tech Show be without an Apple chat?
Well,
come
Brett
on
is
now.
away.
Sorry.
yeah,
that's true. But still,
it's relevant. It's
it
newsy,
is
but-
relevant.
But you saw that patent that was filed just before Christmas. I think it was around the 23rd, or it could have been just after, mind you. But there was a patent filed for hydrogen fuel cells for smartphones by Apple. Curious time of year to patent something.
Well,
Not
interesting.
really.
I had a
Nobody's paying
conversation
attention.
with,
Always
Patent something
patent
as
time.
early as you can. Yeah.
yeah.
I had a chat with a Samsung geek
Yes.
about exactly the battery story and
Yeah.
everything. And he said they're busy trialing fuel cells, but they're really not ready for commercial use
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
So-
Says they can't get them safe. I said, that's interesting. You
I've
don't want
heard
it
the
blowing up
So
on
I
a plane.
have a friend who about 6 years ago was messing around with hydrogen fuel cells for laptops, and they had a laptop that had something like a 3-week battery life. And the speculation now is on a smartphone you could start talking in terms of months. And so the idea is you might have, for example, a cartridge that you sell at Apple stores, let's say for the iPhone. You go and get your hydrogen cartridge, slot it into your iPhone. You've got 3 months of battery life. When it runs out, you just visit the Apple store again. Swap
That would
out
be
the
a
hydrogen
brilliant
fuel-
retail model. Brilliant. You've got to go back to the Apple store every 3
Yes,
months
we want you
to
come
get
back
your
to
charge.
the home of shiny things.
Oh,
every 3
boy.
months.
That's clever.
Apple
But
is known, though, for taking technologies that are heavily immature and integrating them. And
no doubt.
The real problem with any battery innovation is safety.
yes, of course, yeah.
You ask Sony.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
only takes one businessman bursting
Hydrogen
into
is
flame
not a friendly substance.
yeah.
When that goes bang, boy, it's spectacular.
there will be years of field trials before
We're going
we
to
see
put
No, I'm
next
with
to
you.
I don't think it's going to, there won't be any magic announcements, I think, other than the obvious.
What, this week? No,
No,
I'm
this
talking
week.
about
But
the
even
next
by
big
the end of the
iPhone
year.
announcement. I'm not saying it'll be hydrogen fuel cells, but I'm hoping that somebody, it doesn't have to be Apple, Samsung, whoever, just starts tackling this
You
problem
think
now
inductive
because
charging with that little wick?
Well,
I
did-
don't want an
Pure
answer that
power
relies
cell.
on me charging all day, no matter how it happens. I want a battery that's
That lasts
The
and
last
lasts and
battery
lasts.
thing we did was what, lithium-ion batteries in
yeah.
the like early 90s or
Yeah.
something with the
Lithium polymer,
Nokia
yeah.
6310, I think it was,
Yeah.
the first one that came with it.
and the
That's last thing
technology
we
has
found.
gotten a little bit better since then.
I know,
A little
you
bit.
care.
And processors and screens have
John
got
doesn't
faster and
care.
bigger.
Yeah.
I used to care. I used to be pissed off about the rubbish battery life.
And then I discovered this thing called outdoors,
Yes, absolutely right.
and I stopped using
No,
appliances.
what's happened is that in the time in between, I'm now completely surrounded by USB everywhere.
Yeah, that's true too.
And thank heavens, most manufacturers now allow their devices to charge over USB. So it's very difficult for me to actually get to the end of the day with a device that hasn't been in touching reach of a charge.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean that's my situation as well. Is I'm charging in the car, I'm charging on my desk, but I would prefer not to.
I don't know. I think I'm a little bit disappointed that inductive power doesn't seem to be getting much traction.
Doesn't
It was
take-
at
doesn't take off.
Mobile World Congress. So PowerMat, the guys that
Yeah, but
first
guess who
started doing
bought
it,
PowerMat?
Yeah, they were bought by Duracell, and they're. I know the suppliers are busy cleaning out their stock at the moment because they're waiting for the first range of Duracell stuff to come
Yeah.
in. But what they showed at MWC was, I think it's called WIC, was the WICC or something. It's a little inductive charging thing that every manufacturer can add for a couple of pennies or whatever to the standard smartphone. They showed it
Yeah.
in the Galaxy S2. It's a couple of welds extra. It slides in sort of like a SD card would, and it adds inductive charging straight to the phone.
That's very cool. What I really want though is my walls and my roof, and I saw a proof of concept for inductive power where they had light fittings that are magnetic, and you just kind of pluck them on the roof, and then you can move them around when you get bored. And
I think
very cool.
The key step for me will be a large enough surface that it can just be a desktop. So I can
Yeah.
put something down on my desk without worrying about
Yeah.
is it aligned
Have a little
properly
pad
on
in the
little
car.
pad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge, again, there is safety because you're talking about magnetic fields and all sorts of interaction with all sorts of other devices.
No, there's no danger there.
And while,
And
a year ago,
when I say safety, I don't mean safety for people. They're not going to get cooked. But
Safety
you might
for
find
the
for
robots.
for all the other electronic toys you got.
Oh, I see
lying
what you're
around.
saying. Yes.
Yeah.
You
So
don't, well,
there's-
you don't want to put a hard drive down on one.
No,
So-
absolutely.
a year ago, I would have been worried about having a permanent magnetic field suspended over my lap. Now, not so much.
Yeah. Everything's fine. You've procreated,
It's all
man.
relative, huh?
Yes, congratulations, by
Yeah,
the way.
well done.
Thank you.
Jon Tullett and his
Dad.
lovely wife Candice are expecting twins.
Correct.
We haven't formally congratulated you on the show, have
Stephen
we?
laughs
No.
because
I
You haven't
laugh.
been on the show
I'm
for
one
a
up on that.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got triplets.
Sure.
Something in the water, yeah, in
Yeah, it
Joburg.
is, definitely.
All right. So Apple announcements, iPad 3. You know, I'm actually quite tired of the story. Do you even want to talk about
No,
it? I think
let's-
everybody's expecting
wait
a
till
higher
Wednesday.
resolution display. Everybody's expecting an Apple TV announcement. Nothing major, just an upgrade to what they used to do with the Apple TV, I think. Do any of you have any sort of contrarian views about what we'll hear from Apple this
Well,
week?
the only thing I was saying to John earlier is that I think they're going to introduce a budget one to sort of counter the slide they saw against
So it's- yeah.
the
Budget
Kindle
what?
Fire. So
iPad.
take an iPad 2, either the 16 gig or put an 8 gig in, sort of the same way they did with the iPhone 3GS when the 4
There's no
came out.
question they'll continue
Yeah.
the iPad 2 as a budget model.
Exactly. So pump
Just
it out
one
at
of them.
$399,
That's a given.
$100 off, and try and capture a bit of the lower end of the market. Rather get them into the ecosystem early than wait for them to spend.
Yeah,
money
that'll
on
probably
Android.
happen.
I really wouldn't have said it was that likely until they started pulling exactly that routine with the iPhone. And
Yeah.
for Apple to target the budget market seems so uncharacteristic, but that's
Yeah.
exactly what they're doing. So
Now,
I think you're totally right.
the
They-
fun thing
they
is
will do it.
whenever Apple has an announcement, we always do this on the show, and a good deal of the people who listen to the show this week as a podcast will be listening to it post the Apple announcement when they smash a spaceship into the sun and release the new Mac Cube that levitates and spits out diamonds and will sound like proper chops.
And absolutely takes us from one place to the other without that 11-hour
Apple
flight.
teleportation.
That's it.
I
That's what I
teleport.
want. I leave.
I teleport.
And I arrive.
Our customers have been telling us that it's a real problem that they have to buy their apps in America. So now you can come to America
Buy your
or
apps
any
and
of
go
the
home.
Apple stores just by walking through the iTeleport.
You can
You will
register.
teleport.
You can register an American
yeah,
account
Mac sound.
while in America.
All right. So enough about the Apple announcements then. I haven't started playing with Windows 8 consumer preview, is it called?
Correct.
Yeah.
I had the developer preview. I've still got that installed on a reference device at home, which happens to be a tablet computer, which is quite handy since the touch interface seems to be what Microsoft's all about now. Have any of you downloaded the consumer? You're busy booting
Busy
into it
booting
on your...
into it right now
Okay,
as
cool.
we speak.
And how
Funny
are you
mention
finding it?
Schizophrenic.
Really? I've been hearing good things.
It's brilliant.
I've loved the developer
It's
preview. It
brilliant.
was very rough. The developer preview,
it's
you
brilliant.
couldn't get into the store, for example. Most of the desktop had been configured for you. So developer preview was a bit of a rough experience. But
So it's schizophrenic. That's what it looks like, and it's
Yeah,
all
tiles
friendly
everywhere.
and tiles and cool. The problem is when you switch across to the normal desktop, you can't quite. Now, what do I do? How do I?
you
find
click
my
on start and then it
programs?
takes you back to
takes
Metro.
you back to where you started.
You know,
So
it's weird. The best things at Microsoft
Yeah.
happen when seemingly nobody's in charge. Like, it's just
That's
like
a broad
developers running
statement.
amok now.
I think it's got tremendous potential. I think it's
Yeah.
really impressive. But I don't care. And the reason I don't care is that one of the things that's happened with me, the more that I use tablet devices, is that more and more of the stuff that I use is running out of browsers or out of very specific apps like Evernote. So 99% of the time, I'm not going to see the OS that I'm working on. All I'm going to see is my browser, and that'll be Chrome or Firefox. So it'll look the same whether I'm running on a Linux machine or on a Windows machine or on a tablet or whatever.
True.
So I'm very impressed with the direction Microsoft is going here, but I don't care.
Now you're one of those guys who manages to get away with a tablet device as your sort of main.
Correct? Yeah.
And what's that? So that's the Asus Transformer.
Yep.
And you've got the keyboard dock for it. What do they call it? The lap dock, I think. No, whatever.
I think it's the
something
keyboard,
like
I think it's
that.
the keyboard dock.
Keyboard dock, which adds a touchpad as well,
It does.
which is one of
It
the
also
things I
adds
enjoyed most about it.
A whole
And
bunch
now
of
he's got what
slots
most
and
of us call a laptop.
Well, it's closer
Well,
to a
not tr-
netbook.
Yeah.
Much closer to an
So where are there any gaps for you? Things that you wish you could do but can't, or
Java. It seems ironic that Android should not have support for Java apps in browsers.
Now, that
Okay.
that is very ironic.
What the hell, Google? But so yes, I miss Java. There are certain sites that I've started recently discovering I can't browse to because I don't have Java support.
Interesting.
Which seems very ironic, given how Google likes to talk up the complete browser experience and how you've got Flash
Yeah.
on your device. Thanks for nothing, Google. Here's a plugin that you could add to flesh that out a little bit. So that I miss, but in almost every respect, there's very little I need to do on this that I can't.
Okay.
It doesn't play WoW so well.
Dumb shit doesn't play WoW at all. I remember when World of Warcraft first launched and I started playing it, I was still Linux everything. I didn't even have a Windows partition anyway to put it on. And there used to be, it was called Sediga. It started its life off as Winex.
Yes.
It was a branch of Wine, and then they added, and then they got the NVIDIA and AMD involved in, I suppose back then it was still ATI, involved in getting some goodness in there. And it was amazing how well you could game in Linux back then. I don't know if that's still the case, or is Sediga still going?
Even better now because Valve put a lot of effort into getting Steam.
Yes, I
working
remember
on
that.
Linux. So
Yeah,
no, the Linux gaming experience now is actually really good.
that's awesome. Very nice.
And again, to me, it's matching listeners what OS.
So
I'm
can't
running.
you cook with those Sediga libraries on Android a bit?
If I were to root the device, which I haven't bothered to because I haven't really needed to, if I were to root it, then yeah, I could probably sideload a Java interpreter of some sort.
Yeah. Sediga's looking not a very happy place. Well, anyway, I can't say that.
The truth is, the mainstream OSs are becoming so complete and so embedded into everything
Yes.
that all the geeks are getting sidelined completely
Think
in
so?
terms of this.
Well,
Absolutely.
I mean, one way of looking at where operating systems is going at the moment is that they're being dumbed down. The other way to look at it is that they're just becoming, simpler, easier, more efficient.
I think that's probably
It's like
makes
cars.
much more sense.
It's like
much
cars,
easier
you know?
to use.
Cars have replaced engines with blocks of plastic that nobody can tinker with. And most people don't care because they buy cars for driver safety and they want their children to get to school with their heads on, which is quite handy, and air conditioning and things like that. And there's still car nuts who like to drop the suspension and put blue LED lights under the cars and soup up the engine a
Oops.
bit.
Yeah.
And they're cool, they're great guys.
Thanks
And
for that.
Alienware will always be around for them. Although I suppose Alienware is a bit
Not
like
more.
is a
Dell
bit
now,
like the Mitsubishi or the Subaru of.
Except Alienware got bought out by Dell, so
Dell.
they're no longer as insane
Which
as
is
they
no
used
longer a
to be.
PC company.
Yeah, they're no
They're
longer
about
a
the
PC
same,
company.
actually. I've got a friend who only uses Alienware, like he swears by it. And
Don't
The quality is
Talk
great.
about Dell. You know this will not end happily.
if you haven't been listening to the show for the full 4 years we've been doing it, John and Dell, no love lost there.
Don't
Leave it
go
at that.
well. A little bit of poetry for the ZA section.
It's
I have hidden depths, I warn you.
I know, Stephen, I know. You're a many-faceted human being. Never
We
cease to
don't
amaze
talk
me.
about Dell here.
Anyway,
We don't talk about
moving
Dell,
back to
yeah.
Windows 8, can I make a
Windows
few...
8 is schizophrenic.
Well, it is schizophrenic, but interestingly, once you get used to the paradigm, it's pretty easy to use. And the one thing I'll say is Microsoft have done an insanely good job at optimizing the OS. It runs
Well done,
everything.
Microsoft.
Everything that I have on my normal Windows installation at half the memory.
And where did you get drivers for your MacBook Air from? Did you just use the Windows
I
7
just
drivers?
installed it over the boot camp drivers, and everything worked.
Oh, okay.
So they actually came out at World Mobile, and that's the other really significant thing. Why launch a major OS at a mobile show?
Because it's all about mobile. We're going to see tablets running it.
No doubt.
Exactly. It's
I'm
just there to
running it-
unify the desktop and tablet experience.
So one of the PC laptop I use most is my Lenovo X201 tablet. It's one of my favorite devices. It's just awesome. It's got that pen that's designed by Wacom. It's just a beautiful ThinkPad, and I put Windows 8 on there, developer preview. When developer preview first came out, nothing worked. So it's got a capacitive touchscreen, sort of
didn't
swivel
work.
tablet, which didn't work. You could load up the Windows 7 drivers and get it going. But I thought, let me wait and see what happens as Microsoft sort of patches. By the third big patch on developer preview, everything on that laptop was working except the fingerprint scanner. So they had gotten the touch working, and so for me this was a great reference device because it really gives you both sides of Windows 8. It showed
I
you
think
what it's
you
like
need
using it on a
touch.
conventional laptop, but also what it's like to just touch the screen. And once you get used to this new sort of usage scenario, scenario. It really works very well. Just reaching to the screen and touching when it makes sense, not to use the trackpad.
Well, I keep finding myself trying to touch a tile. It's the weirdest thing.
You must be used to this, John, now using the transformer, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Best of both worlds.
It's one of those things that it doesn't really translate all that well. It's very uncomfortable to lift your arm up and hold it up a couple of inches over the desk for long periods of time. So you don't really want to be using a touchscreen much. But there are times when it's just faster to reach out and poke the screen.
Yeah.
Dismissing a dialog box is a no-brainer. I don't have to move the mouse or the trackpad. I just reach out and touch the thing. Launching apps as well. It makes very sense in a very limited way to do things that way. So yeah, it's a paradigm that I didn't think I would like, but actually it hasn't bothered me too much.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I have a computer from the future with the X201.
That's actually a good way of describing it.
With Windows 8 on it. It's like, you know.
But you should download and install the customer preview because it's got the App Store and it's got some really
Believe
cool apps.
me, as soon as I have a spare 5 minutes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. But the spare 5 minutes I did have this week has gone to Diablo 3 because I'm on the beta program for that.
Okay.
And I'm
Gaming
sorry.
again.
Really interested in Windows 8, more interested in Diablo 3.
It's all about priorities, isn't it?
In fact, I'll fire it up. We can't play YouTube videos, so I'll just actually play Diablo 3 on our video stream. How's that for a plan? If it loads over the external monitor. We'll wait and see. While it does that, let's talk about it. Because I haven't... See, that's the sad thing as well, is I've got Diablo 3. I'm on the beta. If you're listening to the sound version of the show, that's Diablo 3 in the background. I just haven't had time to play it, so you'll see now I've got a terrible, a little level 1 wizard, which I think I've killed all of 5 zombies with. It's very sad. Very, very sad state of affairs, Stephen.
Never take this conversation out of context, ever.
But this is one of the games I've been looking most forward to. I think World of Warcraft was way too much of a commitment for me. Diablo 2 was almost the perfect game, and this kind of smashes the two into each other, which I like.
Diablo 2 was definitely a vast portion of my high school career spent in front of a computer playing Diablo 2. I still have my save files from Diablo 2 on a USB flash drive.
I just realized that now everybody watching the show has seen my Battle.net username. Can't be too bad. This is running on my little MacBook Pro quite nicely. My gaming rig at home is having terrible problems with the beta of Diablo 3. I don't know why, but it's unplayable.
Probably too powerful.
Once again, no, not too powerful at all. But I haven't had time to... certainly more powerful than my MacBook Pro, I'll tell you that much. Anyway, you can see the gameplay... Oh, I just leveled up and everything froze. There we go. As you can see, the gameplay is Diablo 2. And Blizzard's really good at this. You know, they did it with StarCraft as well. They don't try and reinvent the wheel. They take the things that worked from a franchise and they just they kind of improve on them. So, I mean, if you watch this gameplay, it's essentially Diablo 2 with vastly improved graphics and now all of these online elements as well, which I haven't had time to mess around with.
Yeah, they really
look at those explosions of blood. That's just gorgeous.
No, they really did a good job specifically with the graphics. I mean, you see little zombies crawling up cave walls and things coming to attack you as opposed to just running onto the screen.
So I am a happy camper. Oh, and thanks to the guys at Megarom who got me on the beta program. Shout out to them. Of course, I don't know what happens to the characters you create in beta, though. Do you know, Dave? Am I going to lose my wizard?
Sure. I'm pretty sure you're going to lose
that's the
wizard.
other thing I'm loving is switching between computers, logging into your Battle.net account, and then all your characters being there, which is what World of Warcraft players are used to. You know?
And I think it was the same with StarCraft 2 as well, where it was single sign-in, and then you get all your characters and save games.
Was it? Can't remember.
I mean, we were complaining about this years ago. I was complaining about this years ago. Was that your Steam account doesn't inherit your save games or keyboard configuration?
Yeah, what's up with that? It's the way it should be. Microsoft's got it now on the Xbox. If you're a,
I was just about to say that solved one of my biggest problems. Was
and
going
Sony's doing it now too.
Yeah, going to a mate's house and having to re-download your entire profile as opposed to just signing in and having everything through the cloud. I mean, it took them 8 years, but still.
Yeah. What scares me with Diablo 3 is just how much of my life I know is about to be committed to.
Well, talk to your wife about that and set priorities again.
Let's not carry on playing it while we're doing the ZA Tech Show.
It's a major distraction. Focus, Simon, focus.
Oh, man, I get carried away. Looking so forward to this game. We don't know when it's launching yet, hey? No, there's no...
The official launch cycle from Megarom still says May, but that would have been my birthday present of choice, but I don't think it's going to happen in May. There were rumors one of the core developers left last month.
Yeah. So you've been
there's
following
rumours
this
that it's
far
been
more closely
pushed.
than I am, clearly.
Yeah, there's rumours. Well, there's no BlizzCon this year. They've cancelled BlizzCon, so it's very possibly only going to happen next year,
Yeah.
which is sad for me.
How did that happen?
Why did they cancel BlizzCon?
I'll tell you what, the beta of Diablo 3 certainly doesn't feel like a finished product. It's still feeling a little bit rough around the edges. So I
Sorry
think
to
they've
ask,
still got
what's
lots of-
BlizzCon?
Okay, so BlizzCon is like WWDC for people who play BlizzCon, like Blizzard games.
Ah.
So StarCraft, Warcraft.
It's amazing, hey? They've got
Diablo.
3 franchises, or 4.
Yeah.
3? 4?
3, I think.
And just this massive following that they have.
Yep.
Probably,
There's
probably a
11
handful, but yeah, I think the big ones are.
The one thing I love about them is that from day one they've been Mac and PC, and they don't hold back on either platform. The Mac guys and the PC guys get their games at the same time, usually at the same level of maturity. That they've always been fantastic at. So.
With 11 million people paying World of Warcraft subscriptions every month, they're doing all right.
Yeah,
Still.
they got enough money to
They're still
stay
fine.
agnostic
They're
on the
alright.
They did have a
platforms.
fairly big user base shrinkage recently.
Yeah, they did.
that stabilize?
Star Wars: The Old Republic launched.
Yeah, they've
and there's
actually
rumour
laid off
that
some
that
people,
stole
eh?
quite a few. I think they dropped about 1 million or so in a month.
I don't know if the Old Republic's going to keep the WoW players for long before they come
I
running
don't know.
back.
We'll
I
see what
tried. I
happens.
tried Star Trek Online.
Oh yes, and how was that?
Damn.
That bad, eh?
Wow.
The zero punctuation review basically said that there's yet another competitor to get into the ring and be smashed flat by World of Warcraft.
Yep.
You know, the space flight stuff was kind of cute.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit different. But most of the rest of it was... It wasn't even worse than WoW. You know, years before I played WoW, I played City of Heroes, and City of Heroes had quite primitive graphics.
Yeah.
WoW was better. Star Trek Online is worse than City of Heroes was then.
Really?
It was pretty poor. And even then,
Jeez,
with its
City of
crummy
Heroes was
graphics,
bad.
it ran badly on the same machine that plays WoW like a champ. So, not awesome.
Yeah. I played
and
City
the
of Heroes
basic-
for all of about 2 minutes and then...
The basic Star Trek stuff is exactly the same as every other Memorpic out there.
Sorry, what was the DC Universe
Shoot
one?
all of these things.
I can't remember. It was terrible.
Star Trek Online had potential, but the spaceflight stuff was kind of cool. But the basic game is
There's spaceflight in the Star Wars one too.
Yeah. EVE Online was the...
Yeah, EVE Online was the big free.
That
one,
was the
wasn't
big space
EVE
Memorpica
Online
that...
is like dueling spreadsheets.
dueling spreadsheet. But it had, the following is amazing.
it? Guild
you know.
Wars 2
A
is
lot of
coming,
people
which is the
really
big
like
free one.
spreadsheets.
Yeah. Guild Wars
So
2 is coming.
Correct.
That might be pretty good.
Well,
to see.
Star Trek Online is free. I mean, there's a lot of free to play
Yeah.
Memorpica now.
I just...
You
It's
pay for your shiny hat. or
way
whatever.
too much of a time. I don't know how
Yeah.
anybody holds down a job and plays Memorpica because
They don't.
And I say this as somebody who tried for a year and a half with WoW and had my level 70 druid who I had to sadly leave on the PvP platform somewhere and go, listen, I
So there's
I
a
choose
lonely
life.
druid out there.
Yeah.
Scary stuff. What else do we need to talk about this week? What's been happening? We haven't
Well,
spoken about much local
just
news.
Before we
Yeah.
move on, I am actually quite looking forward to giving the Star Wars game a shot because the Old Republic, or what was it? Star Wars Galaxies,
Yeah.
was a lot of fun, and then they completely broke it.
Yeah.
With a series of upgrades that just completely trashed the
Yes.
the gameplay. So I'm quite keen to give the new one a shot, see what it's like. But I mean, like you said, I mean, it's a time sink.
Apparently, there's dialogue with multiple choice answers.
It's made by
which-
BioWare,
Yeah,
which means
so
there is.
so
I
that's
like BioWare games.
I love BioWare games.
They
Sounds
can
very
kiss
This
exciting.
does not seem like a bad thing, so I'm keen to give it a shot.
Dude,
See-
any
see how it
game
goes.
where you have to talk to people like you're playing Barbie and Ken and choose from multiple choice answers about their sister and the city that you're in.
Tell me
like-
about your childhood. Simon.
So is
Yeah,
this a
happy memories of
session with a
childhood.
Are they-
psychiatrist?
and you get people who actually like go through each thing like, oh, can I have a donut? No. Tell me about the city again. Okay. And I don't know who does that anyway.
Completionists.
Look, clearly I'm the contrarian, yeah.
BioWare rocks.
Yes,
What
it
is
does.
your favorite BioWare? Mass Effect?
No, I think actually my favorite BioWare game was probably Jade Empire.
Oh yeah, I didn't
I
play
really
that.
enjoyed that.
Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
The original-
KOTOR 2 was really good. I
Yes.
loved that, yeah.
I enjoyed the very first one. I
And
think
that
I
had
just played it on
dialogue in with
PC and it was
multiple choice
awful.
answers, and
Yeah.
I suffered through
At
it.
the moment, it's definitely Mass Effect, and as of the 9th, I will be hibernating for a while.
Lucky you got so many kids and girlfriends and all
I
that
know,
good
it's
stuff. Hey,
fantastic.
Dave, you've
I'm
got
the
time
only
for all
one
this
here
stuff.
without kids. Means I can sit
Well,
in my room with
John's
my
got a
Xbox.
few months.
Yeah, I get
And then we'll
4 days
talk Mass
paternity
Effect. Boy, oh boy.
I can cram a lot of Mass Effect in 4 days of paternity leave.
Got news for you.
You mean it's not a holiday?
No. You're going to need all
They
the
sleep
tech you
here
can
and
lay your
there.
hands
They
on.
sleep now and then. You'll be okay.
iPads will save you your sanity.
All right, shall we do our picks of the week then? Unless you guys have any. There hasn't been much happening on the local scene. There's been lots of politicians talking again, which just makes me sad.
That's something I'd
usually,
like
so.
to actually not talk about, but just mention, because that's truly significant.
Yeah.
Our dear friends at ICASA pushed back the auctions. It didn't push back. They essentially withdrew all the invitations for Spectrum.
Can we all pick on ICASA?
But it's not even a matter of pick on.
iBurst said that they were they were having negotiations with Vodacom, and MTN refused to comment, but that they were looking
MTN
at
actually came out and said that the potentially huge legal ramifications to the whole thing.
licensing that 1800 megahertz spectrum out. The left out portion that they have, so that people can start building on it. Then ATA as well. Sorry, Neotel today said they were looking at it as well, because they use 800 megahertz spectrum
Yes.
for Neotel. So they were looking at reforming their CDMA, and changing it into LTE. So there's two very
Don't think that's quite what was going on there. The biggest hassle is there's lots of going on. I mean, first of all, digital TV.
Yeah.
Great stuff to talk about. No one knows what's going on. No set-top manufacturer knows what to build, and none of us know what's doing.
Well,
and
the last thing we heard was Dina Pula telling us that we would miss the deadline again, and now it's been set for April. No, April's the one we're going to miss. Now it's
April's the one we're going to miss, and they said before the end of the year. They didn't commit themselves.
Yeah.
Jeez,
So
man,
we don't
this was
know
supposed
anything.
to happen in 2010.
Correct. And then 2011, then 2012.
Now the global cutoff is 2015.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well,
Which we'll
when
get.
they say cutoff, the biggest what they're saying is that those bands will no longer be protected for
Yes.
interference. So
Yes.
people will be doing all manner of things. So by international law, if you set up your huge 800 megahertz network
So you'll
and
get
start
wireless user groups started.
blasting people's TV sets right off the planet, strictly speaking, you're not breaking the
So-
law.
Yeah.
But this is really big stuff for South Africa because, as I said, at World Mobile, everyone was talking LTE.
Yes.
And without Spectrum, we're not going to see LTE.
Yeah.
So right now, we're way ahead with 3G and connectivity and all this good stuff.
Yeah.
But if we let this one slip, and we let it slip significantly, no one's going to build
What
brand new
confounds
networks.
me, though, is in 2010, I remember the Department of Communications saying that they were ready. We could switch on DTT tomorrow, they said.
They lied.
The pilots,
They might not have.
They
had all of
lied.
their
the
ducks in a row.
pilots had gone well. All of the set-top box designers had been briefed. The channels.
then
knew
the
what-
general changed the standard.
Yeah, then they wanted to change the
Well,
standard
they
to the
didn't
Japanese
change
standard.
the standard. They checked out a new standard and then decided.
No, they
did
changed the
switch?
standard.
You see, I can't keep
They went exactly. They went from the one version to the second version. It's similar, but
Because
it's
I remember
definitely
them
not
trying
the
the,
same.
new standard, and then at one stage
that-
saying
that was
actually
the
they were going to go
Japanese
back
standard.
on there.
Well, there was outcry from the public that it was going to take.
You know what? I just stopped.
more
I
time.
stopped with the politicians after. I can't anymore. I cannot.
The problem is, and I mean, it's not to bash ICASA. The problem with all this hooahing and going on and everything. What
Well, let's
is so-
bash ICASA because
Okay,
they're
well,
dragging
let's-
their feet.
Let's give them
Look
a
at
good
local
bash.
loop unbundling.
Yep.
Oh, we're doing it. When? We're going to phase it in. When?
Never. Bottom
Sometime.
line is,
How's the phasing going to work? We know telecom and costs, and it's not feasible
strong regulator
now.
makes for a strong industry, and we just don't have one at the moment. They're just
I think
not
no regulator
doing
makes for a
anything.
strong industry.
look, interesting enough, you look at what Ofcom in England have done. They've been focused, they've been fast, they broke up BT. They've really done some really positive stuff. And that's what's amazing. You read the white papers that they freely publish on their website. Go to the Indian regulator, read all the research and all the work they've done that
Yeah.
they freely make available about spectrum allocation, about all these things that we agonizing over and spending months of public consultation and tons of money. They've done it. It's all been done all over the world. This is not rocket science.
But
These
you
guys
see, in South
should
Africa,
do it.
we like to think we can do things differently and that we have a valid reason to. And then every now and then, the market will collapse and we'll say, you see, our National Credit Act, which
Yeah,
everybody said,
saved
why are
us."
you going against what the rest of the world is doing? Saved our asses.
The bottom
and so it
line
happens
is,
one in every 80 times and validates the
so if
exceptions.
anyone listening has any influence, they got to push this thing because really, this year they have to get their act together.
I
We
just want
need
fiber
spectrum.
to the home, man.
Well, that's the next thing.
That's all I want. It's
When
so
you-
difficult to figure out.
Just
You've been
100
overseas
meg
plenty,
connection.
Simon. You've seen the sheer weight of internet everywhere.
Yeah.
People just completely and utterly take it for
Well,
granted.
I track Ookla quite closely and net results, and 6 months after CCOM landed, we had jumped from number 108 in the world in terms of download speeds to number 89. That's a significant jump, and so I was going, awesome, progress is happening, whatever, we're on the way. Then things stagnated. The rest
Just
of the world
nothing
wasn't
happened.
standing still,
No,
and
not
now
at
we're
all.
back down to 108 in the world or 106 or whatever. It's
And
like,
the other big thing at World Mobile was something called microcells. Remember they were talking about femtocells
Yes,
and
yeah.
picocells? But microcells are the new LTE buzzword, and with handover to a new version of Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And the only way those can work to give dense, high-speed broadband to buildings wherever is with fiber backhaul.
Right.
So without fiber to the home, we're not going to do all this stuff. So it's a multifaceted issue, and I just believe that unfortunately, as much as we have great things going on in this country, that's one area that's a
Yeah.
huge issue, because you cannot imagine, most of us who have not lived with that stuff, you cannot imagine what it's like to have real broadband. I mean, in my hotel, my free Wi-Fi was 15 meg download.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, that was free commercial stuff. They were using a Vodafone router.
Yep.
That's nothing special. And that makes a huge difference. You
Absolutely.
can stream movies, you can do stuff that really none of us can even think of. And the other huge issue is that the apps, all the cool stuff you read about, are being built on the basis that you got that level of access, both mobile and fixed.
Well, the big thing is with apps like Hulu and Netflix and all of that kind of stuff, if you don't have a stable, fast
Of
downstream speed, you just
of
fail
course. Okay.
hard.
So that was my little rant of the week.
Remember when I said I didn't want to talk about the stuff because it makes me sad?
Well,
Let's go there.
Oh,
Okay,
anyway.
let's do our picks of the week before I start crying.
No, crying. Start with a new boy.
All right.
Come on,
Stephen has
Dave.
spoken.
Ah,
Stephen has spoken.
I'm just
What's
giving
your pick of the
direction.
week,
So,
Dave? If you're watching the show for the first time, picks of the week are bits and pieces of technology. They can be anything. Toby Shapshak once picked his friend Aki Anastasio. We try not to have that kind of pick too often. I think he picked Boerewors the week before, but we try to keep it within the world of technology. But anything there, it doesn't have to necessarily be new, but it's just anything interesting or fun or whatever that we picked up.
So I came prepared. I have
Okay.
3. One of them's very quick. Standard Windows file transfers are terrible. So download
Yes.
something called Terracopy. Handles it very well. You can, instead of if you open up multiple copying windows in Windows, it doesn't really work well. It tries to do all of them at the same time, and
Yeah.
it doesn't really multi-thread, so it fails hard. This actually makes it go through one at a time, which is very nice. It's freeware, so Terracopy, very cool stuff.
Cool.
Terracopy is great, but I started having consistent crashes with it on Windows 7.
I started having that as well, and then they released a new one, which has sort of fixed that as well.
Or download Windows 8. It's got
yeah.
the coolest graphic
Which-
you've ever
yeah.
seen when you do a file transfer. It's got this little thing that shows you, like I'm a bit of an accountant, so I see this bar graph of speed. It's very
Windows
cool.
8 actually borrows a lot of stuff from Terracopy. It's very, very similar. It does the same sort of thing.
Okay.
Next one, Calibre e-reader, which
Okay.
is very cool software
Yeah.
for Windows. So
Calibre
managing,
success.
I've
We've
spent a lot
picked
of
that
time.
before.
Yes,
it's
Toby.
very
I think
good.
it was actually Toby.
I've spent a lot of time with Kindles in the last 3 days
Yeah.
that customers have been, useless at and wanted me to help with. So did a bit of management on that. Very cool if you have a Kindle, getting books on and off, getting metadata for books and things like that.
Calibre/ebook.com.
And then
It's
my-
like iTunes for ebooks
pretty much.
now.
Except shinier on Windows because it doesn't crash all the time. And then
cool.
my last pick is my brand new laptop bag from Crumpler. It
Okay.
is the most amazing thing on earth. It's called the Crumpler Box Boy. It's monstrous. I could
Is
fit
it, yeah?
2 dead bodies in. It is, yeah. It's in the
Okay.
corner.
Well, if you saw the size of
Take
his
a look at it
laptop,
in a
you'd
moment.
need a monstrous bag.
That's what everyone says.
What is that?
First time I saw his laptop,
It's
I
a
thought it was a dead
17-inch
body.
Acer, 17.3-inch widescreen.
Goodness gracious me.
I do try.
I think I'm happier with my transformer.
Looks positively sick next to that.
All right, nice picks, Dave.
I'm certain I get less back pain.
No,
John?
doubt. You need a crumpler.
Do you have any picks this week, John?
Well, nothing particularly new, I think. But the one app that I've been spending most of my life in at the moment is Evernote.
Yes.
And two things about this have struck me. The first is that it's a journalist's dream because it can do inline audio recording.
Yeah.
But then that struck me as being somewhat similar to OneNote, wasn't it? For the Mac Microsoft Office.
Or on the
it then made its way into mainstream Office.
So you
it's
need
on
to use
iPad.
OneNote for that on Windows, and then if you're on a Mac in Word, you just switch to Notebook View and you can add audio notes.
There you go. Great. So I think that Google should buy OneNote, and I think they should do it very soon.
From Microsoft?
Because
Oh, you mean Evernote?
Evernote, I mean, sorry.
Google
beg
must
your
buy
pardon,
Evernote, yes, yeah.
Google should buy Evernote because it would. I use Google Docs a lot, and one of the advantages of using tablets and smartphones and the like is that all my stuff follows me around. So my documents are all everywhere I go, and with Evernote, that's especially true. And Evernote gives me a lot of features that I wish Google Docs had.
Yeah.
So Google, if you're listening to this, buy Evernote.
So
but
that's
then-
what you pick, the notion that Google should buy.
What?
I use shared notebooks a lot with Evernote, and we ran the show
they're
of
great.
that as well. And they are fantastic. The only thing that sets them apart from Google Docs in a big way is that with Evernote, you can't do concurrent editing. You can only have one person editing a note at a time.
Yeah.
Whereas on Google Docs, you can all climb in
I
and go
think with
crazy.
the paid version of Evernote, you can do.
No, I've got
real-time
the paid
collaboration.
version. Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway, nice pick.
One of the other reason why I think Google should buy Evernote is that it would do to Apple what Apple's been busy doing to Google, which
Yeah.
is buying up things that the killer apps that people really want. So things like Siri, which was originally a cross-platform product,
Yes, yeah.
is now an Apple product. And there was another one that Apple bought very recently, and I can't remember what it was, but it was another one that I looked at and thought, well, there we go, there goes the Android version. 'Cause it's a sensible thing to do. Identify the killer app that people would really like to use,
And buy it.
and then wall it. So yeah, Google should buy Evernote.
Okay,
Tomorrow.
cool. Steve?
Since I was given very little notice, but I've been seeing all manner of things. One of the coolest things I saw at World Mobile was a little company called Scalado.
Scalado.
Now, the sad thing about this, you can't download these products, and you can't buy them on the App Store, which is a huge problem.
So you're picking something nobody can have.
Well, no, you can. There are lots of people who got them. For example, Sony, not Ericsson, just Sony, included their camera products in their mobile devices. And the cool thing that I saw, and it's worth going to have a look, go to Scalado, SCALADO.com, and have a look at a technology or a product called... I'll tell you right now. It is the coolest thing you've ever seen working.
What does it do? What does
you
it
take
do?
a mobile phone,
Yeah.
and you take you hold it and you take a picture of a scene. Let's
Yes.
say you want to take a picture of a statue or something,
Yeah.
and there's a whole whack of people wandering past.
Yeah.
What you do is you take a few pictures, then you push a button, and all the people disappear.
Very cool.
All the people just go, and you can add them back one by one. So I want that, dude. Ding! It is the coolest technology
Very
you've
cool.
ever seen.
I read some reviews of that. So they were very impressed, but they just say it's not all that reliable yet. But
Well, they were prototyping a beta, and it looked amazing, and it worked as advertised.
it's very clever.
But it's just such clever stuff. But what's interesting about Scalado as a company, they were the first people who did one of those panoramic shot software.
Yes.
And it was included in a Sony Ericsson phone 10 years ago. So, and most people didn't even know that.
Yeah.
So it's just great software, and it's something to look out for. So if you're looking at 3, this is the other thing about Android, they all look pretty undifferentiated. But if you look at the various phones, see which one's got that sort of technology, if cool sort of photographic technology is something
Yeah.
you're interested in.
Cool.
And my last little pick, and I know you guys spoke about this a lot last week, is a little thing called the Playbook.
version 2.
But version 2, I've been playing with it for a week,
Saved it.
and I tell you, it's absolutely awesome. Bridge 2 is brilliant. The email client is brilliant.
The
Seeing-
unified inbox is
the
great.
well, it's just brilliant. I know I sound like a bit of a BlackBerry fan, but they've really done smart stuff. So if you got a Playbook, update it. And if you haven't got a Playbook, that's an interesting thing. They're doing amazing deals on the internet. $199 for a 64 gig Playbook. Buy it and ship it. There's absolutely
Still
no excuse for that money. There's no better tablet on the
I
market.
love the Playbook.
Yeah.
It really is
I'd
very
say it's
cool.
still the best video display.
Oh,
on
yeah,
screen
hell
video
yeah.
display of the tablets. It's phenomenal.
And what's interesting, having a look at the QNX software and some of the stuff they were playing with and some of the new apps that are coming, it is just so clever. It's definitely something that you said you thought you were living in science fiction. This is very science fiction-y. It's all swoopy and swishy, and it's just so much cooler than anything else.
There was a demo from their Swedes that they bought, the Astonishing Tribe, who do all that cool UI stuff, where they had 5 playbooks with a camera overhead monitoring all of them. And you could flick documents from the one to the other.
That's quite cool.
I saw that demo live.
You could put two
and as you
screens
put them together and bump, it gets 2 little circles, and they talk to each other. Then the two of you have a conversation, and the rest can't see, and you pull them away, and the rest can then see what you're doing. It's
some
very
fantastic
cool.
It's
stuff.
going to be very interesting watching BlackBerry over the next year. I think.
Absolutely. Anyway, those are my 2
certainly
picks.
are in a lot of trouble at the
One's
moment.
unhappy, people don't like it, and the other one is stuff you
Cool.
can't buy. But anyway,
It's impressive just how much they could accomplish with a software upgrade.
absolutely.
Yeah, everything that was wrong with
The
the
hardware
playbook
was always there.
basically was software.
Yeah, the hardware was always there. It was a bit of a rush
got the
product.
software horribly wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Nice pick, Stephen. I'm going to pick Waze. It's not new. The first time I used it was about 2 years ago. It's crowdsourced traffic and navigation, but they have just taken some giant leaps forward. So it's a navigation app. It's available for iPhone, Android, BlackBerry. It's in the Ovi store, so you can get it for just about any phone. And the maps and everything in the past were crowdsourced, which I thought was quite clever. So the network of Waze users basically creates the maps. What they've done now is they've augmented that map information with map information from providers. And they've added traffic information. So the traffic information is crowdsourced from Waze users, but in South Africa they've partnered with Mixed Telematics. Now Mixed Telematics owns Matrix Vehicle Tracking. And so they've integrated vehicle tracking at the same, well, in fact, it's better than TomTom's HD traffic, and it's better than Garmin's traffic, because while they're using the similar technology to do it, which is trackers in cars, they're also augmenting that with the crowdsourced traffic information.
That's quite a
So they're
clever thing.
combining the two. Now, the amazing thing is you get voice navigation, right? You get traffic. And the best traffic information I've ever seen. You also get these notifications from other drivers. So while we were driving through Morningside today, it told us there was an obstruction in the road ahead. Somebody had just posted that. And I asked them how many Waze users they have in South Africa, and they said 35,000 currently. And so what you can do is while you're driving around, if you see a traffic camera, it's got this little bubble. You just touch the bubble, and it brings up a grid of icons for things you could encounter on the road. You touch traffic camera, and it starts crowdsourcing all of this information of the traffic. So I said, well, that's all cool. That's awesome. It brings the one thing to navigation that Google, because I think Android's doing navigation best at the moment, but they don't have traffic information. So the best thing about Waze is the price, because it's free and the traffic information is free. It's just free. Everything's free. So
They're taking me, funny enough, for a drive tomorrow, so I'll experience
there
the
is
whole
no
Waze thing.
excuse not to use the software. It's amazing. It combines
can't beat
information
free.
from everywhere.
What platforms?
I think that the
Like I said, iPhone, Android, BlackBerry, Nokia, well, you name it.
Everything.
The density of users obviously is a key factor here, because
Yes.
the more users you have, not only the more alerts you'll get, you can also then start to filter on reliability. So
Yeah.
One person flagging up a camera may just be pranking. 20 people doing it is more likely to be authoritative.
It's crazy. Crazy.
You kind of need a critical
But it
mass
was
to
really
actually
interesting.
work.
Well, what they're using both. They're using the conventional ways of getting that information, databases of traffic
Which
and
is
stuff
not
with the
hugely
crowdsourcing.
reliable.
But are they curating it? Are they actually checking to see
I don't
that
know.
this stuff is reliable? Or I'll ask them tomorrow.
What they usually do is...
I don't think they need to. I think they can just look for simultaneous
commonality.
reports.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what they do, apparently. Well, that's the part I know about, is they look for a certain amount of hits from a certain place before they implement it. The other thing the guy said to me was, it's funny, but in these open systems, things tend to be accurate because everybody wants the system to work for them.
Sure.
It's like Wikipedia, I suppose, in a way. It's, there's not much to be gained from
Well, the
gaming
good
it.
news is there's a traffic jam in Toulouse.
There you go.
Right now, 31 minutes
Know all
ago,
about
big
it.
traffic jam. So if you're going to Toulouse with your vehicle, stay away.
Well, I mean, you can pay, I don't know what it costs for TomTom, $50 the last time I
TomTom,
checked.
$79.
And then
It's
$35
expensive.
a year for the traffic, or you could just...
Yeah, except you can't get the vouchers in South Africa at the moment. There's no stock. So if your live traffic does run out, we had a problem
Oh, really?
2 or 3 weeks ago. We tried to get that.
How do you run out of digital vouchers?
No, you have to buy. There's no through their website.
No, I bought it. You can buy it from the app.
This is like
Kalahari.net.
Kalahari.net.
So that's
telling
for
me
your
they were out of
iPhone
stock
app.
of
For the
Yes.
actual GPS.
Oh no, I'm talking
units.
about the iPhone.
Okay, the actual GPS units, the TomTom Live subscription is a little card, like a little
Yes.
scratch
Yeah.
card. that
No,
you have
no,
to
I'm
buy,
with you
and
now.
Those ran out.
Yeah, no, I
Are
use
they
it on
still
the
out?
iPhone.
They were out a while back.
Yeah, well, they were out a month ago. when
cannot
I had
keep
a very
stock.
irate client.
All right, guys, it's time to put a fork in it. This is awesome.
A big fork.
So much fun.
You sound like you had good fun.
Yes. Thanks for being here, Stephen Ambrose.
It's a pleasure.
At Ambio, AMBIO on Twitter.
Tweet all manner of interesting drivel.
Cool. Thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure.
Oh, it's Shikoki. I was wondering if there was a clever little mouse or something out there. Jon Tullett, awesome to have you back, man. At Fake John on Twitter.
Thank you, Simon.
John without an H.
That's right.
Complete with his
And,
transformer.
Still from Tech Target.
No longer.
Really?
No longer.
What?
I'll tell you more another time.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. So no more then. At Fake John. And Dave Greenway, first time on the show. Thanks for coming.
Much pleasure.
It was
And
awesome.
a font of numbers and specs. We've got to keep him around because we'll say, that
model
model,
numbers.
that
Wow.
model. Oh, it's the QB71 with the extra
camera
bits.
phone you were looking for from Sony Ericsson 10 years ago is probably a K800i.
You see? Brilliant.
Very probably.
Everyone
We should just
knows
keep
that.
him in the corner.
Yeah.
Throw a sheet over him until next week.
Brett can do the
Lift it up.
date.
What's that model?
All right.
Beckomatic.
This was fun. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here. This was episode number 201 of the ZA Tech Show. I'm at Simon Dingle, by the way. And we'll be back next week with episode number 202.
He can count.
Yeah, check out our website, zatech.co.za. We're all over the place. We're on Stitcher now. So if you use Stitcher, you can get the ZA Tech Show there. We're on YouTube. We're on iTunes. We're all over the place. But come and say hi at the website as well, zatech.co.za. And that's it for now. Goodbye.